In his all-time best-selling book on self-improvement, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey describes two circles in which we spend our lives: the circle of influence and the circle of concern. This is part of habit 1, be proactive. Now, the circle of concern includes all of the things that we care about, but that we can't do anything about. In contrast, the circle of influence includes all of the things that we can actually do something about. The more time we spend in our circle of influence, the bigger it grows and the more influence we have. The more time we spend in our circle of concern, focused on things we can't do anything about, the smaller the circle of influence becomes and the less influence we have. A recent experience I had at a Ranching for Profit school reinforced the importance of these circles. A young husband and wife from a large family ranch came to me one day after class. They said they were enjoying the class and learning a lot, but they were frustrated. They said they'd already had several ideas for improving the ranch, including an idea for a new enterprise, but they were sure the folks wouldn't let them do or change anything. Now, earlier that day, I'd showed them a process for turning ideas into proposals. Talking about the idea that they had for the new enterprise, the young woman said, "My folks will shoot it down as soon as we bring it up." Her husband added, "They won't let us do anything." "They won't let you do anything?" I asked. "That's right," they confirmed. Well, if there's one thing I don't have any patience for, it's people who give up before they even start. They'd grown so used to living in their circle of concern that they'd started to see themselves as victims. I decided to try to draw them into their circle of influence, so I asked them, "Could you draw up a plan?" "Well, yeah," they agreed. "Could you include a budget?" I asked. "Yeah," they said reluctantly. "Could you include best case and worst case scenarios?" I asked. They nodded that they could. "Could you show the implications to other enterprises?" I asked that, knowing that they could. "And could you show how it might impact labor on the ranch and affect the business's exposure to risk?" When they didn't respond, I asked, "Could you include an implementation timeline?" I knew that if they wanted to, they could draft a plan including all of these things. And rather than pitch a half-baked idea, they could prepare and present a formal proposal. That was in their circle of influence. And whether the folks agreed to it or not, can you imagine how doing that would have expanded their circle of influence with the folks? I think it would have grown a lot. So, would you like to know what happened? Nothing. After looking at one another for a moment, they looked back at me and explained all the reasons why making a proposal would be a waste of time. They wouldn't take it seriously. We don't know all the numbers. We don't have time. They would shoot it down. It was much easier for them, at least in the short term, to stand firmly in their circle of concern. And as they did, their circle of influence shrank. Now, it may have been easier in the short term, but I'm afraid it's going to spell big trouble in the long run. As they continue to blame others for the situation, resentment will grow, and that's going to corrode the relationships. And if the folks ever do turn the reins of the ranch over to the kids, well, have they demonstrated the competency to take charge and run a business? Most of us spend too much time in our circle of concern. Look, there's no point complaining about things we can't do anything about. And the more time we spend complaining about those things, the less time we spend actually working on the things we can control. The more time we spend in our circle of concern, the more it grows and the more of a victim we become. The more time we spend in our circle of influence, the more it grows and the more influence we have, and the more control we have over our lives. The circle of influence is where highly effective people live, and it's where you need to be if you're ranching for profit.